Let me set the stage for you guys and send you back 13 years ago. It's between late 2012 and early 2000. Sorry, I thought I put in the second video here. Let me just take the player, put it in part 2, and there we go, we're good. All right, roll the film. Well, I'm back for more Pirate. So back in February 2025, I uploaded a long retrospective video going over a video game I have been playing since close to its beginning called Pirate101, aka that one game that's related to the wizard game that most people are familiar with. If you haven't seen that hour-and-a-half video from me, yes, it's an hour and a half, I highly recommend it so you're more familiar with what is going to be talked about in this video. The link for that will be in the description below, but I'll also give a quick enough summary here too. Pirate101 is an MMORPG that has you go on a silly yet highly dangerous quest for untold riches and also topple a dictatorship in the process. But as time went on, less focus was put onto the game, updates started to take years to drop, which made the player base dwindle, and the second arc of the game has received mixed to negative responses from players. During the summer of 2016, KingsIsle had a major layoff of employees a month before its main story update, Valencia Part 2. In there, you had the first arc wrapped up in a quick and unsatisfying way for many fans. It literally came down to our group of protagonists getting to the creator of the Armada and saying, "Ooh, I know," let me get into an elderly voice, hold on. "Ooh, I know the plan. I'm going to take this piece from El Dorado that I got at El Dorado, go up to Kane, my robo-son, and put the piece in his chest because he got that El Dorado mindset, and it will make him good, and then we can ride into the sunset afterwards." Okay, I might have exaggerated just a little bit at the end, but you get the point. Yeah, he's dead now. Turns out this part of the story got a little bit rushed so they can make a long story shorter and close off the first arc of the game. Around this time as well, KingsIsle put a massive focus on hopping in on that mobile games trend, which left Wizard, but mostly Pirate, to sink all the way down to the bottom. So yeah, that didn't work out so well, so they went back to working on Arc 2 for the game. As someone who's been watching videos of people going through Arc 2 and hasn't been happy from what I've been seeing, but wants to get a solid enough opinion, I decided to dive back right into the game. At that time, Arc 2 was compiled of 3 separate chunks, being the Sinbad Trilogy, Tartarus, and Krakatopia. My thoughts again on them were that Sinbad Part 1 and 2 felt like a copy and paste of each other, being a multi-fight dungeon. Part 1 was kind of nice, having a WrestleMania vibe, whereas Part 2 gave us 2 new companions, and that's all you have to take away from it. Part 3, on the other hand, was actual pain, misery, and some sanity I will never get back. Tartarus was a bit better, with an improved story, though it's a reused imported asset from a section in Wizard 101, which I must say does work here, and I'm fine with this decision, and some difficult fights that took a few tries. A trend that is present in all of Arc 2. Not only that, some bugs and glitches as well. They also put out this side content dungeon dubbed the Hawk Dungeon because it would drop an item that you can use to promote this lovable lunk. The thing is, the drop rate for that item at the time was incredibly low, where you had players crashing out and even have moments like this. Finally, with Krakatopia, you know that one image from SpongeBob with a Krabby Patty filled with that gray gunk? Yeah, that's Pirate Krakatopia. Players were hyped to finally have this world in the game, only to get there and it was bad. Came under major criticism due to there being at least 3 soft locks in its Tetrealm, which took a few days to resolve. This area too was an imported asset from Wizard, and it wasn't suited for Pirate because of the tight spots, which led to many wild pulls, camera angles like this, and an ungodly bright outside area. Bugs and glitches, like I mentioned, a fake out at the time, came off as pointless. Who the hell are you? Then a new main antagonist to the race for El Dorado being Oksana, which has also received mixed to negative responses. For me, with this new antagonist, I've kind of calmed down to how I felt about Oksana, but I still think she's not that good and kind of pointless at the moment. She wants to go to El Dorado so she can have the power to overthrow Death himself. Yeah, that's cute. Hey Wizard, I think our luggage got mixed up. There's one more thing that I'm forgetting to mention. I'm trying to remember what. Oh, I gotta mention Plunder Hunt. Plunder Hunt mentioned, baby. Let's get loud and proud. Whoop-de-doo, baby. My closing thoughts were that it's sad to see Pirate throughout its existence being in a state of abandonment, but still hopeful that things can turn around in the future. And that's the short summary for the retrospective. Though I did say at the end of the video, if it did well, then I would definitely do a follow-up, as the game was going to have a major summer update. At first I didn't think the video was going to do that well, maybe like good, solid for like my channel at that time, but maybe like not berserkers good, but well. Hey guys, so I was gonna do this bit here where I was gonna say, oh, I didn't think it was gonna do so well, and then it did decently well for a channel my size, but then this video blew up, which did really well for a channel my size. Still want to do the bit though. Oh, okay. So I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think it was gonna do that well. But it did, and I thank you for that. So one retrospective, a small competitive event, a dozen live streams, and 28 pages of script later, here we are today. When discussing the topics for this video, it's gonna be a little bit of back and forth action for the dates, so I'm just gonna separate them into categories, having them timestamped and in the description as well if you want to skip to the one you want to hear. But before I do so, there are some things that I need to get cleared up that I either forgot, didn't know about, or just wasn't able to fit in that video. And I'm not gonna lie, that's a long video for Pirate101. Now the first one I have to mention is one that I have to start off by showing you this picture. Now most people might be in total confusion on what I am showing you right now, but don't worry, just sit down, get ready with the clip notes when we gotta go back to November. On November 13th, 2024, a longtime KingsIsle employee known as Hercules, or Chris for simplicity, tweeted out that he has just been fired. In the tweet he says, "I got fired for not doing my job. Simple. I was given notice, a fair chance, and I didn't do the work." That's the whole story on that. Then immediately in the next sentence starts going off on the lead community manager for both games, who is known by Bat Masterson, Sparks, or Matthew for simplicity as well. To summarize what Chris goes on to say about Matthew is that not only was he bad at his job, but incompetent to a point where he did not know how to play any of the games, which is highlighted in stream playthroughs, and he would allegedly argue about needing to play the game or not. Can't use Discord, social media, admin tools, or basic office software to save his life. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not tech savvy myself, but when it comes to your job, you need to know the basics at least. But what were the most alarming tweets from Chris was when he says that he invited a coworker stalker to interview devs and lied about being ignorant to the situation. And when Chris, a former community manager of Wizard, confronted Matthew about it, he then went on a rant about, and I quote, "the whole Blizzard sexual misconduct issues were blown way out of proportion." Another thing was that Matthew confronted Chris's dad at a Renaissance festival and tried to get Chris's dad to quote unquote have a talk with him about his attitude. So a lot of red flags here that came from the game's lead community manager, but from what it sounds like from Chris's tweets, it doesn't seem like it's KingsIsle's fault, and it's just a really bad apple that's amongst the team. Overnight, the community was outraged, and players would protest this by going to Avery's Court, the main hub world of Pirate, showcasing their Hercules companions. A few days after that, by the way, in some sort of odd coincidence, the Hercules dungeon in Tartarus would then drop. Shortly afterwards, don't know when, Matthew was either fired or resigned from his spot. Either way, he's gone now. From what I heard, the person that's currently taking up the void as the lead community manager has been doing a good job at it by also listening to people's feedback and just talking to the community. That's the situation summed up, but I'll also link some videos in the description below you can watch, and also this goof video, because why not? The second mention is going to be very quick, but if you're in Crocotopia and you don't want to be blind no more, go into settings, turn off Bloom Active, boom, you're no longer blind. The third mention I have here is actually a follow-up to a patch note that I discussed at the end of the last video. February 2025 came with a patch note that mentioned stuff like buffing the bear companions and increasing the drop rate of the Doom Laurel. But one section they patched was in regards to the Sinbad trilogy, where they added team-ups for parts 1 and 2 while also nerfing and increasing the weapon drops for part 2. For part 3, they fixed the dungeon recall, but what annoys me is that that's all they did for part 3. As I mentioned earlier, part 3 is not a fun experience to do solo, and even the times that I did go through it with groups, it was easier, but still not fun. They didn't even put a team up for the last dungeon in Marleybone. One last annoying part of the trilogy was that they made their dungeons a gauntlet, meaning that you can't teleport into them. So say you're at the last fight of the dungeon and you're about to die and your buddy is coming in to save the day. Well, he can't. So your options are either to go pay to win, or just go flee and then recall back in, or just do the whole dungeon over again, which is lame. The next topic I want to go over was something that I was made aware of in a comment from the previous video. One of the things KingsIsle is known for doing is making all these assets that go unused and are just locked behind a safe collecting dust and just waiting till they decide to drop into one of the games or both. The Atomplex has showcased a lot of these unused assets like unreleased promotions for companions or islands in Pirate. Apparently in 2010, 2 years before the game actually dropped, KingsIsle made a lot of islands for worlds that they were hoping to get to later on in the game. Like for example, Darkmoor I guess had 2 to 3 3 islands, and Krokotopia, a world we have just now visited, has 4 to 5 islands in that safe. The reason why they might have stayed away from this is because they don't have the budget to make a skyway, nor do I believe they don't know how to make a skyway. And what it sounds like from the team, they don't want to take an existing skyway and reuse it for a different world. One of the producers for the game, Mordecai, when it came to the discussion of it, stated, "I think I can speak for most of the team here. That's not the way we want to go with a new skyway. We want to do it properly." Which is fair, but I think right now with the state of the game is currently in, I feel like maybe you should do a community vote just to see, hey, do you guys care if we want to reuse a skyway or not, or do you want us to make a new one? And then just see what that happens, and if they want to, then we can reuse the skyway, and then later on, the next one that you do a skyway for, you can make that a brand new one. For what that first video was, it covered everything that you needed to know if you were someone that is new to the game or hasn't been involved with the game for a long while. But thankfully with a video like this, I can mention it here. Thanks for the info. And that's all the catch up since then, but I have been keeping my eye on the game just to see if there's any patch notes or minor updates to be released during the build up for the major summer update. There are a few things to discuss here, as literally 5 days after I released the video, there's an update. So at the end of completing Krokotopia and Bonnie Ann's final line read, you hear this little music play.
I have an idea.
Once Krokotopia was over, players began to speculate on what the next update could be, and the most speculation came to that music at the end, and players thinking, hey, we might be going to Mirage in Pirate 101. But honestly, it's an odd choice just to have that be the next world if it was. You go from sand to, more sand. Still, it is cool to be possibly seeing this in our next update, being another world from Wizard now coming to Pirate, being hopefully Mirage. You know, maybe we'll get some like cool like grab and go type of stealth thing, you know, where we're running from bandits and just like escape. What do you mean it's a bundle? February 26, 2024 comes with the release of the trailer for the Aggrobah Job Gauntlet bundle, aka Pirate's first swing at paid DLC content that isn't just a companion and insert item here. So it starts off with you just managing to get your hands on this magic lamp. How? That's not important. Moving on. So you have this magic lamp which transport you inside of the lamp to this genie named Nanar. He tells us in our Presidio companion, he's here too by the way, about how our dad was also a famous pirate and was hired to rob a warehouse in Mirage by the genie's master. After a fierce battle, Nanar heard our father say, oh, let me get into like a little like pirate accent. I'm a famous pirate. Zoinks. I wish me dear kid could see this. Up and away, I could fly. Wah. Okay, I might have exaggerated that as well, but you get the point too. Yeah, he's dead. Those words stuck to him and have granted that wish here and now, even though I don't think that's how genies work, but okay. So now he takes us to that day in like a little pocket dimension without it being a what if, or God forbid a multiverse. He replaces our dad with us in the scenario to reenact that fateful day and learn about so many other things and wait, hold on. Is that in the script? Huh. Oh, that's it. What happened with my shirt? First thing, as you can tell from my voice telling you the plot, I'm not a fan of it. It feels uninteresting, confusing at first, and because it's behind a bigger paywall, a nothing burger to me. Out of all the storylines, this to me is the weakest. And again, it's a part of a bundle, meaning you're gonna need to pay money to do this gauntlet, have a friend pay for it, or make an 1.5-hour video on this game and ask if you can run through it while also dangling around the possibility like loud rattling set of keys that you'll make a video talking about this. If you were to buy the bundle, you get the gauntlet, which contains 4 fights in total, $10 back, 5,000 crowns, then this beefed up snake. His name's Monty. From what I've seen and heard of Monty, you either think he's alright or you think he's solid. Heavy Skills is a pretty cool ability though. Oh yeah, the price. Yeah, it costs $40 USD. At face value, you may look at it and compare it to other bundles and feel iffy about it. But wait, there's more! Because this was a bundle, there were no test ROMs to see if there were any bugs, and bugs there were. Players of having a chance of not receiving the companion after buying the bundle, and sometimes a soft lock where you encounter dialogue causing you to redo it from the beginning. This one I actually encountered while I was a guest on the stream. In the beginning too, there was also a cooldown for when you can do the gauntlet again. How long, you might ask? 20 hours. I don't know who thought it should be that long or a thing at all, but don't worry, they got rid of that. And then there were the drop rates for this gauntlet. Almost as bad as the Doom Laurel. You want the new gear and mounts? Yeah, best I can do is long crate. Worst part is that you only get the gear, weapons, pets, and mounts in the last fight. Maybe you can get a mount or the pet in like a second fight or so, but the camel better know how to do a kickflip or wheels on the bottom of the boots if it's going to be that rare of a drop. On a positive note for this gauntlet, I thought it was fun to go through. A good challenge for people when they're doing it in a group where it's not just a cakewalk, and I'm not subjecting myself to doing that solo. You're funny. But unfortunately with this gauntlet, it's the same story as the Hercules dungeon. It's fun the first few times, but it loses that fun factor when the drops aren't dropping, especially when you just get gold. My last note on this too is that there were some moments in the dialogue that just kind of felt awkward when they were delivered.
We're in trouble! Help! You called? Kill these! With pleasure.
To answer the question though, is it worth playing through? Yeah, I think so, but I just recommend doing it once or twice and then that's it. Is it worth buying though? No. God no. The Beekeeper bundle is a better value for your money than the Gauntlet bundle. Not just because it's $10 cheaper and you get this nice Beekeeper outfit, but you get a Bumballoon companion named Barry. Get it? Barry B. Benson from the hit DreamWorks movie The Bee Movie, voiced by Jerry Seinfeld. I rest my case. Back on topic, my last thing I want to say is that what's the point of the music playing in the background if it's not going to lead to Mirage, or just Mirage just being this gauntlet? So yeah, that's the gauntlet. A bit of a disappointment and just a hard pass if you're looking to buy it. During everyone voicing their issues with the gauntlet's glitches, the status of the Pirates team was brought into question, with the marketing leader Fan Flanders responded to a comment on how there's only been 2 decently sized updates since 2014, saying the dev team is currently made up of 1 full-time dev, 1 part-time dev, they work on Wizard 2, 1 person on the product team, and 1 producer. All resources are shared. They all care, their resources are just limited. My initial reaction to this was that you don't just share this type of information, as it can lower the morale players might have for the game with the state it is currently in, but on the bright side, they do care, so there's that. I mean, that's good though, actually, like, honest to God. Hearing this though, it does make me feel bad for the people working on this game, as when you hear this, most players will go and look at it and say, yeah, that makes sense, as it just seems like this game is heading more and more to being pronounced a dead game. When it came to working on this next video, I didn't think it was going to head in this type of direction at this current point of the video. And again, I don't hate the game. I like it a lot and have fond memories when I played it as a kid and only want for it to succeed. But is February just the low point of this game only to go up, or is it just going further and further down? Well, let's look into next month and find out where it goes from here. March 2025 came with the release of some patch notes, so let's cover the small ones before we get on to the big deal one. The first of the small mentions that they reduced the difficulty for the Shade Achilles fight in Tartarus and the Temple Guardian fight in Krakatopia. Took them a little while to get around to balancing those fights, but hey, it's finally done. Next one is going back to the Aggrobah Gauntlet, as the note goes on to say, we've heard your feedback on the desirability of drops in the Aggrobah Job Gauntlet. Okay. As such, yeah, we have added 5 sets of gear, 1 for each class, to the drop pool.
Smoke break!
So instead of like increasing the drop rate just a little bit, they instead just said, hey, let's add more gear to the gauntlet and put an ice pack over that open wound and send them out of the nurse's office. Good luck. Now on to the big deal, this patch note being a experimentation on reworking companions. Starting back on February 20th, KingsIsle's community manager Queen created a polls channel on the Pirate Discord server, with the first field polls asking about which free-to-play companions would players like to see reworked. Those categories of companions were the Presidio 5, Kraken Skull's Tavern, the Magnificent 7, and the rest. Presidio was Dead Mike in a very close margin, Kraken Skulls was Sarah, Magnificent was Bat in a close margin as well, and Monkey King for Universal. They also had a poll on what should be done for the Crown Shop counterparts if they had one, which was to match the playstyle but have some variation to it. A couple days later, we would see the reworks of these companions drop to Live Realm, except for Monkey King. Where's Monkey King, you might ask? That's a good question. It's not in this video where you'll get the answer. The rework gave him a few more epic talents, new abilities, and even a class changed for the crown counterparts of Dead Mike and Sarah Steele. SM Arson went from a buccaneer to a privateer, and Lucy went from a swashbuckler to a buccaneer. Now, wherever you went online, the opinions were mixed. The biggest criticism to this change is that some players complained that they bought one of these companions to help out their class and benefit from the buff. Either way, some players felt like they bought these companions and they no longer fit their team anymore because they benefit from different classes now. Shifting back to Dead Mike before I conclude on this section, but some players would have the final promotion quest for him bug out to where they couldn't promote him, but I believe that's fixed now, at least I was able to. After the dust settled, I did honestly like the experimentation for these companions, as it can give them more of a need, or like a desirability actually, to buy them. Though at the same time, I do feel bad for the people who bought the companion when they were at their original state and now they can't really benefit from using them. But I think we all can agree on this and even be appreciative of it. But Bat Masterston is actually good now. First the meme Nurse Chicken, and now the Bat. KingsIsle, if you are watching this, I am begging you, maybe as an April Fool's special, to buff Nanu Nanu or all the watermelon companions. To quickly wrap this up as a whole, even with the question marks they had here on the Aggrobah Gauntlet and the class shifting, I honestly think this patch note was pretty solid. Moving on to the next month of April 2025 brought us some slight changes that honestly kind of feel like putting band-aids over scars from the past. Let's get this one out of the way real quick. They increased the drop rates for the Aggrobah Gauntlet. Hallelujah. Personally, I love the energy they had for writing this note versus the one from last month. From last month, it sounded like, oh yeah, we hear you guys and we got this for you guys, though it sounds like they totally missed the mark. Whereas this one felt more like, fine, take it. Happy? And with the Gauntlet as well, they also fixed that soft lock with the dialogue that I mentioned earlier. It also brings us to a new section of this show for the first and last time here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to welcome you to That Was a Thing! In this part of the episode, we're going to be talking over some of the minor changes they had in this patch note, looking at them and just say, wow, so that was a thing! Think of it as America's Funniest Home Videos of ridiculousness, but instead of that, it's just one guy that looks like Napoleon Dynamite talking about Pirate101. First one here takes us all the way to the world of Aquila on the island of Troy, where captains should no longer drunkenly dock their ships inside the island. Wow, so that was a thing! Next one takes us to the land of the underworld in Tartarus, where after 5 months later, players shall finally teleport to the life fountain instead of the incorrect spot they've been teleporting to. Wow, so that was a thing! Our third and final one here takes us to the British land of the Bulldogs in Marleybone, where, on Wheeler's Lair, the fourth player shall no longer be teleported to a different random instance. Say it with me last time, folks, loud and proud. One more time. Wow! So that was a thing! Thank you all for tuning into this part of the episode, and until never again, that was a thing! I'm gonna put this down, there's like hair on it. Back to it though, there are some things I want to hark on, being the fixes with Tartarus and just it as a whole. It is nice to see that they finally put the life fountain port by the life fountain, but now I think more than ever, it's starting to show more bugs that are in Tartarus that are either existing ones or possibly new ones that came from these two patch notes. Achilles during the Aquila part of the story before he is killed in Battle of Troy is named Shade Achilles instead of just, well, Achilles. And after you are fully done with that part of the story, Achilles is still chilling in the tent that's by Troy. At Delphus, there's a spot by the brazier where you can click and play the Charon horn. Thankfully it doesn't summon him and give early access to Tartarus, because I think people would have been more aware about that. When you interact with the skiff to teleport to Tartarus, I swear you have to click on it at least twice just to teleport there. The Shade Achilles fight seems to be a shared instance type of thing, maybe? I don't even know at this point, as that issue I mentioned in the previous video of his squad not showing up unless I go through the door behind him and come out is still present. Another way to fix this is to switch realms or just already be in Tartarus when you boot up the game, but it's dumb to just have to do something like that in the first place. You cannot teleport the players still in Tartarus, as I recently found out when questing through with a group, nor can you teleport inside a dungeon as it acts like a gauntlet as well. So if you're questing with other people in Tartarus like I did as recently as August, you have to ask here and there if you're in the right zone or area sometimes, which shouldn't be happening as much as it did for us at all. And it didn't include this in the notes either, but the fast travel in Aquila never had a spot for Lystragon until recently. This isn't the docks though. Closing off though, it is nice to see that they did go back in some spots and either reduce the difficulty or just fix a thing here and there, but it seems like more noticeable bugs and glitches are starting to appear, and it just fuels the criticism for this arc being rushed. Like, it's becoming more and more noticeable, and it's going to be a turnoff for players getting to this part of the story for the first time. What I'm trying to say here is that stuff's going to be in the Chupo video and it's too late to go back and fix it. And that's all the patch notes, meaning from April to July, players are now just waiting for more info to drop on the update and for Test Realm to finally release. We are now closing in on the part of the video that most people clicked on here for, being the major summer update. But first, let's talk about the rumors. We shall start at the lowest point of the hype to where it started to slowly and surprisingly get people to have expectations other than just it functioning. So first news I got of any rumors of the new update was from a video published by Just Fang on February 14th discussing treats from the Aggrobah showcasing data mined weapons and character models, most notably models from Valencia hitting at a possible return to that world since the defeat of Cain. Fast forward now to April 10th with Just Fang, I don't have Twitter, I'm not downloading that, okay, discussing new tweets from the Aggrobah where they showcase interactable doors from Valencia intended for an island called Trianon. In short summary of those two videos, yeah, it seems like we're going back to Valencia. My initial reaction to this news, and even when it was edging close to Test Realm, is that I was a bit underwhelmed. We're going back to Valencia for the third time, and this one's gonna be another major update to the game. I was kind of hoping it'd be something different that we haven't seen before that is in a, well, better condition than this. It's cool going back to this area, but I don't want to just get sick and tired or just bored from having to go back to it a third time. But at that time, I didn't know how the story was actually going to go and what they were going to do, so I just had to wait. May 29th brought us a notification on the Pirate Discord server of a KI Live happening soon. Wow, a random KI Live. I wonder if anything in the stream, they'll mention anything about the update with how close it's approaching.
Drumroll. Level cap increase. Once again, level cap increase confirmed for the summer update.
What? Folks, this is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. But after 9 years, Pirate101 is finally getting another level cap increase. Stop what you're doing. Spread the word. Peter Griffin, where are you going? Look back at the billboard. The level cap is increased. Head back home and tell the family. Take your mom. Take your god. Go find a dog and tell them they're a good boy or girl. Drinks on me, boys. Let's fucking go. That's literally how the whole day consisted of. But yeah, they finally decided to increase the level cap after 9 years. That level cap will be increased from 70 to 75 and not something like 80. With this news, you now got some fans a bit forward to what the new update might have in store. After that is when the announcements and teasers started to pour on in. June 13th gave us a little teaser to one of the new characters for Valencia Part 3 being this badass looking guinea pig. June 17th gave us a teaser of XP being rewarded to someone who is at the current max level of 70. June 25th through the 30th had KingsIsle hit up creators to discuss a new spell power for each class. The ones that stood out the most was the Witch Doctor spell Mojo Javelin and the Musketeer power I'll just say blow up. July 7th gave us teaser audio from the voice actress of Queen, and as someone who has been critical on the voice acting recently, hearing this clip got me in good hopes to hear more of Queen's voice acting in the game. Then finally on July 3rd, we got the trailer and name of the update titled the All-Time Heist Update. The trailer showcases the exterior with unicorn guards roaming outside, bits of interior with Armada troops inside with Queen talking in the background. First thing I want to mention, hold on, seeing Napoleon's hat in this little like trophy room area has got me thinking of one thing. This is my game theory right here. I'm thinking seeing Napoleon's hat, it means one thing, and that's that the Armada ate Napoleon or fed them to the rich people unknowingly. KingsIsle, you have 1 month to prove this theory wrong. Your time starts now. Second thing I want to mention here is that the area that is going to be from the new update, being Trianon Palace, is a asset that was not used for what I believe was going to be a part of Arc 1 in its original plan. But I am glad to see that they're actually taking this unused asset and actually putting it in the game. And hopefully it's gonna be good enough, you know? Test Realm will then launch on July 7th, with immediately afterwards having some connection issues and players wondering why. What it most likely was, and unfortunately might have been, was that KingsIsle's headquarters are located near where the tragic Texas floods were, and seeing that it was happening around that time, it would make sense. The next day, though, on July 8th, Test Realm would go back online. To conclude the rumors and hype leading up to July 7th's Test Realm, I want to say it did not start off good at all. First off being that the amount of devs were told to us, and then just it being a possible Valencia 3 just personally not getting my hopes up, but as time went on, it slowly and slowly got me and other players to shake off the lowest of expectations we might have for this game and actually look forward to it at what might be Pirate's last chance at some sort of life. But with all the rumors and reveals for the All-Time Heist update and its release closing in, I wanted to do one more thing before the update comes to Live Realm, and that was to go through all of Arc 2 again with the reduction in difficulty and the minor fixes here and there. Now, did I go through the major fights all over again as either myself or in a group as my Buccaneer? Well, in a group, yes, but by solo, no. That's not what we're doing for this video. Instead, I want to do it with a pirate that has not been through this part yet. Meet Fred. Agreeable Fred. You're going to agree with him because you're going to agree with him. He's Agreeable Fred. I don't know what else to say. This lucky guy has made it all the way to Arc 2 when we begin it here as a test monkey to test its changed difficulty. No pay to win gear, bundle, or pack companions, and this is the squad you're most likely running through with. Have fun! I have no clue where my footage for the Sinbad trilogy went for my swashbuckler, so I'm just going to describe it and just show you comparisons for what it was like to go through it. Part 1, I at least remember that one being not that hard, as thankfully I drawed turn 1 Black Fog and were easily able to defeat the crab guy and Pafo thanks to him just not moving sometimes. That's a thing here, by the way. Almost lost like 1 or 2 guys, but thankfully made it out of here with no casualties. Part 2 was mostly the same as well, though I did lose Fan at the last fight. Either way, parts 1 and 2 were more of like that light work, no reaction type of meme, you know, dust the hands off, you're good to go. Let's get into part 3. God damn it, dude. God damn it. Part 3 for me is creeping up to be the worst from Arc 2. It's still Crocotopia, but there's an argument you can make now. I genuinely hate Wheeler's Lair and having to go through it anytime, and this just reinforced that. It's just that Fan kept dying. Sometimes Sarah and El Toro might, but Fan died in at least all the fights. And every time they died, the boo-boos just kept racking up. And every time the boo-boos just kept racking up, this guy would drive me more and more into poverty. And when I did reach poverty, I was pretty much dragging these beaten up and bruised corpses throughout the whole dungeon. I could never draw Black Fog turn 1, even when it's at the number 1 spot, and swashbucklers weren't doing swashbuckler things. And that's dodging. You know that one scene from SpongeBob when him or Patrick are having to go through the perfume department? That was Sinbad Part 3. Oh, and it doesn't stop there. At first, Tartarus was, keyword was, fine at first, got through all the fights leading up to getting into Tartarus fine. But in the Nerf Shady Gillies fight when Sarah went down, I knew what was in store for me. Hades Throne Room, the Sador and Electo fight, I either almost wiped as a group or lost a man. My stress meter was going through the roof here. And then Crocotopia. The first fight lured me into a false sense of security. Toro and Fan both went down in the second fight. Fan went down in the third fight. These polls are pissing me off. Toro went down in the fourth fight along with, you guessed it, Fan. This is the fourth fight and Fan is at max boo-boos. KingsIsle, this plea to rework Miracle Mitch has now turned into a cry for help, or just fix the gold system. It's so expensive. Everything's so expensive nowadays. Can you please do something about it? The fifth fight, I wiped. I was almost there and I wiped. El Toro's at max boo-boos now. What's the point of being a swashbuckler if you don't do swashbuckler things? Round 2, much easier. Daily pulled by the enemies, and we all survived the sixth fight. A good sign, you might think. Stop it. Optimism is not a valued thing in this part of the story. The Armada ship dungeon, Toro dead turn 2. The following fight was going fine, and oh no, everyone has gone down at least once. Why are we not close to done yet? Bellatrix fight? Yeah, as if. Get better, Goofy. Pay no attention to what you see here. The Bone Drake fight got Sarah, meaning all of my main 3 companions are at max boo-boos. Then there was this draconian fight by this crystal where I won easily, but I went to check out my funny quest name that they have here, closed it to see this. What the fuck? Whoa. Oh, what the? And I know what you might be saying, but Mike, you had plenty of time to react and back away before you get pulled. What gives? Come here, come here. All of your favorite pirate and WizTubers are too busy scrolling through TikTok and Instagram to be paying attention to the gameplay. So here we are. That is my reason. Moving on. Funny enough, when I recall back into the dungeon, no draconians. Take the wildest guess at what happened during this fight. That dungeon that's literally called Find the Locking Device. Great name, by the way, with that annoying scarabs and that fucking bird that I hate. Not a big deal, actually. Thank God for the minor difficulty reduction here. That weird lion crocodile hybrid fusion took me 3 attempts to finish. All of these fights had the decider be if I got Black Fog turn 1, and if the swashbucklers do, say with me again, swashbuckler things. Finally got through that fight. What can make it any better than that? I gave up doing it solo and did the last dungeon with these two guys that were at the same part. But we did it! We made it through our 2 guys! Woohoo! Now, was it worth it or was it better than when I last played through it? No, it was kind of the same. And that reminds me, I'll probably need to go through it again when the level cap gets here just so I can see if it was better to go through it at level 75. Everyone, this is Luke. He'll be right back. I don't know how to segue into this next part. It's test run time. The All-Time Heist update dropped on July 7th, but got halted due to connection issues that I mentioned earlier, but was back in action again on the 8th. I actually live streamed my experience through this as I never partaken in a test run before. Thought it would be good to have this experience, and it's probably the only time I would do this as well. So if you want to see that stream featuring some other pirate tubers such as Just Fang, CB the Scare, and Assassin Wombat, a link for that will also be in the description below. I'll say my thoughts on test realm as what I have to say there as well. It's going to be similar to what I have to say on live realm. So let's just go over some points of mention that happened during test realm at least. First thing is that when I talked about Crocotopia, there was at least 3 soft locks in the game that halt you from progressing, and it took a couple days to resolve it. Well, it was kind of like that here with the All-Time Heist update being 2 soft locks. The first one would be when you need to get into these crates and be smuggled to Trianon Palace. When you were able to do that, the problem is that, well, the quest wouldn't pop. So once you were teleported to the palace, you were able to progress, or you had to try again using some retro game cheat code button mashing to progress. I did it! Oh my god, I did it!
What? How?
Once the quest eventually popped, you would do 2 fights and run into the second and final soft lock. The game requires you to defeat a guard and collect a key to open a gate, but for some people when going up to the gate, you weren't able to interact with it. The easiest way to bypass it was to have someone in the ballroom, port to them, and then they can walk to the other side of the gate where the quest will pop. Alright, we're just waiting for Wombat. And then we're good. Oh, hey, Wombat. So while this soft lock turned into a progression blocker with there being a way to bypass them, it's still not fun to have to work around it in this sort of way. But hey, at least I got to it quick. But there is one noteworthy one I need to show.
There's a boss here that's literally T-posing.
I need to see this. Yeah. Bask in the glory of a posing unicorn. As the test realm continue on, animations would get updated and I would fill in this time before its final closure by buying all the companions and upgrading them. This is not a joke. I really did this. Even did the Magnificent 7 quest too. Test run for this update would finally close on July 31st, which left to the players now just waiting for live realm to release. Oh hey, the update's out. August 12th brought an announcement that KingsIsle services will be under maintenance late at night on the 13th, which included an update for Pirate. This kind of brought some confusion as well, as players didn't know if this was the update as it was getting close to the end of summer and people were even going back to school soon. You would also kind of have this thing where Mordecai was kind of possibly dodging questions as well. He even had people made memes during the short span. It was kind of funny. But then he finally just said, yes, it's the update. So August 13th, 2025, the All-Time Heist update has finally released to Pirate101. Will it live up to the hype and bring some much needed life into the game, or will it fizzle? Get it? Because it's like a miss in Pirate and Wizard. To go over the update notes for the All-Time Heist updates, starting with the main one being that players now have a new main quest line, which starts in Flotsam by talking to Bonnie Ann. Along with the new main quest line comes with the highly anticipated level cap increase. Wizard players, watch out, they're catching up. This came with 3 new powers and or talents to learn from your class trainer. For example, the Buccaneers level 75 power they learned was Ramming Speed, which in test run was first called Ram. Probably the best name to change for that, so you're not just like calling in battle being like, oh, I'm gonna use ram against my enemy, I'm gonna ram my enemy. Yeah, let's not take that out of context. Players are also now given a new storyline companion, being that guinea pig guard they teased earlier, and I was a bit hyped to know that I will have this guy on my team later.
Let's go! Yeah! Yeah!
This compendium is also experimental for the pirate team as they have different epics depending on your class. For example, he will have Vengeance 2 if you're a Buccaneer, but for Swashbuckler he'll have First Strike 2 and the other classes will follow in their own ways. Experience has also been added to all of Arc 2 content, though not a crazy amount. For those who have already gone through that part of the story and still need experience after completing the update, they added 4 optional side bosses where you can also receive a good amount of experience after defeating one 7 times. If you don't want to do that, then you can just go run through the dungeons in the ballroom area and they will give you about 1000 XP. They also added a new Valencian pack containing 5 new companions that represent each class, and 2 separate companions you can unlock in the crown shop after defeating a large number of specific enemies. There were also some miscellaneous additions that came with the game as well that I'll show here on screen if you want to pause and read it for yourself. I will now explain the story for the All-Time Heist update, and if you already know it and don't want to hear it again, here's a timestamp you can skip to. 3, 2, 1.
Fucking clanker.
So what is the news story? Well, it all starts with Bonnie Ann figuring out a plan to find Oksana by finding the specific person of interest to send spies to find her.
What?
Oh, Capier's got a new voice now. After having Capier's most recent line just be him in silence, they officially have lines for Capier. I can't confirm confidently if this is the original voice actor for Capier, Zach Daly, or if he was recast here. Not only that, but Sinbad has a new voice as well. This most likely is because the voice actor for him was Chris, the same Chris from that drama I mentioned earlier, so you could probably see why. Though I'm struggling to figure out where I've heard this voice in the game before. I thought it was Crustacean in Sinbad Part 1, but I don't think so anymore. Someone let me know in the comments, please. Back to the story. Bonnie Ann says the person of interest is the Secret Master, aka the supposed Mayor of Flotsam. The way Bonnie knows how to find him is to go to One-Eyed Jack. We ask him about seeing the mayor, which he denies and points out that we're out of favors, but coincidentally, he owes Albino one. Jack, after being threatened, says he can't answer it but to go find people near the store, where we meet Sharky. His name alone makes him now a top 10 character. Sharky foolishly blurts out that the mayor is real and she is right behind this door. The mayor is a magenta squid named Nancy. Nancy is already familiar with Oksana, who seems to be part of this group called the Exiles. She says she will help us if we bring her back some space jelly, and once that is done, she tells us to come back in a few weeks to where she'll have more info for us. Leaving her place and trying to figure out what to do next, Bonnie comes up with the idea to look for more map pieces in the meantime by traveling back to Valencia and talking to our good old pal Steed. Steed tells us that Valencia is still the same, though with a broken and weakened military power. Clockworks still remain but are no longer being made and are more of like servants replacing the guinea pig workers. Finally, he confirms to our character that Queen survived the final battle and remains in Trianon, where she hosts her parties and mourns the loss of Cain.
I expect they are also far less stinky. No?
Okay, where did that come from?
Who the fuck starts a conversation like that? I just sat down.
Steve sends us to Forlenza's tavern keeper Nobartinello, who we met at the end of Valencia Part 2, as he may have better info on Cain's map pieces. Nobartinello tells us the pieces are at Trianon Palace, and sends us to Ardito, that's this guy from the teaser, you know, for how we can get there safely. Ardito will tell us more on the condition that he joins our crew, and tells us the map pieces are in Cain's crypt. He goes on to say a direct attack will not work, and sneaking in is the best way. Ardito's friend Aldo helps us with that by letting us jump in crates that are heading towards Trianon, drops us off, and will come back once the mission is over. Once there, the plan is to go into the sewer drains, which, pay no attention to this chaos right here, are unable to open without making a large commotion. Too late as a guard founds us, so we beat him up until he is actually visibly unconscious on the ground. Can't have him lying around. Time to bring him back to where we started then. Somebody keeps respawning, please keep respawning. Yeah. Yeah, give me more, give me more. Let me pick him up again. Put him back down and pick him up again. Pick him up. Yeah, there we go, there we go. Back to sneaking around, we now attempt to enter through the banquet hall, but the door has been booby-trapped with naphtha on the other side, leaving our only option of the ballroom entrance. Should be right next to each other and easy to enter, you may say. Enter big and inconvenient wall to say otherwise. We go around, approach this gate, but it is locked and the bushes seem suspicious.
We may be cooked.
They put naphtha in the bushes. Beat up some more guards, stealth-like, get a key, open the gate, tactical maneuver around, boom, we're in the ballroom and Queen is waiting. She knew we eventually come for the map pieces, so she's hitting the key to get into the crypts in 3 possible locations: Cain's trophy room, Queen's salon, and Bishop's library. If we don't find them in time, then she'll remove the oxygen from the palace. That's not good. After she leaves, we go to the east wing to check the salon and trophy room, where we find no key, but Queen pretty much cosplaying as Deacon and Rook. After being here twice in the fights, we regroup back in the ballroom and go into the west ring to actually find the golden key. This one got a chuckle out of me. Check the library, find no key, and Queen dressed as Bishop. This line made me laugh as well, honestly.
See?
Goose knows.
Whoa! Once defeated for a third time, she locks us in the library to suffocate us to death, then presumably leave somehow. I don't know, okay? After she does, we get shown to Fuel being at Trianon Palace to save us. Fuel tells us Queen lied and the key was in the ballroom the whole time, so we take a hidden passage to surprise Queen. She's confused how we made it out to where Fuel reveals himself to her and spoils her plans about how she planned a coup to take the aristocracy hostage at her party tonight. Even with her plans exposed, she shows up in her fourth outfit of Fuel. Defeat her a fourth time, grab the key to the crypts to find Kane's body with his head missing, but also the chest containing the map pieces. Queen arrives in her standard outfit thinking we stole his head and fully loses her cool and composure. One last fight to beat her has her going crazy to run away for us to collect not just 2, but 3 map pieces, meaning we're only 1 away from completing the full map. We exit out of the sewer drain we originally tried entering in to head to the getaway ship.
Get to it, quick!
Take him with us! We give Aldo a letter of Queen's plans, flee back to Forlenza, and return to the mayor in Flotsam, where she tells us her spies died and to come back later. Oh, okay. So that's the update. So now that the story explanation is over, it's time to go over the good and bad from this update, and I thought it'd be good to start off with the bad. Bad number 1. The length. So what I was going to say is that it felt short, but what was surprising to me as I look back in my solo footage I did record is that this is somehow the second largest. Excluding moments I left to sell items or to go to my class trainer while also still listening to all the dialogue, it took almost 2.5 hours. And if you skip the dialogue and run through it as quickly as possible, it'll only take a little over an hour. And I get the argument of quality over quantity, but this took longer to release than the last 2 updates did. Not only that, but just how easy you're able to get from point A to B, it seems like more content could have been filled out in these parts. So I'm kind of conflicted if I want to say that it's a bad thing from the update, or it's just sad that each update from R2 can be completed in 2 hours or less. Bad number 2, the first half and the ending. When playing through the update up to the point of getting to the ballroom, I was kind of bored just going through it. I mentioned it earlier, but I'm gonna say it again. The whole mayor thing, way too easy, and it honestly just feels like an arc from the Bad Batch. Me and Nancy felt like Sid and we were the Bad Batch. And if you've seen that show, those were the most boring parts of it. You know what would have been a cool idea? Maybe like a one-time instance where you're trying to get onto Trianon by smuggling in those crates from Aldo. And as you're sailing on there, you're in like the bunker area of the ship. And then for some reason, your ship gets pulled over and they're doing like some never before routine check to just see like there's nothing suspicious in the crates, and then someone in the crew is chattering too loud, let's say Sinbad, because all my homies hate Sinbad. They go into the bunker, fight us, we win, and then we go into our Armada gear that we had from Sivella, and then like we go up there and we're like, hey, everything's good, you know, we're doing fine, no need to worry about us. And then our crew can just be the aristocracy. They can be, that's what they can be. All is good. We make some BS thing saying like we're gonna sail on the ship with them to get to Trianon, and boom, we continue on with the story. That's just something I just spit out the top of my head. Let me know what you guys think about that. And then there's the ending. When you get back to Nancy to report back on any info, and she tells you that the spies got killed and just report back later. It feels anticlimactic. Bad number 3. Teleporting is annoying. So you know how I said you can't teleport and switch realms in Tartarus and almost everywhere in Croc? Yeah, that's the same here. You are thankfully able to switch realms and areas anywhere, but you can't teleport to players in the Trianon area. Yeah, you're able to if they're in the ballroom. Why is this still a thing? From what I watched, it's because Tartarus and Croc areas were gauntlets and wizards, and like I mentioned before, you can't teleport into gauntlets. So seeing this still being an area that isn't a port from Wiz, it's a totally pirate thing, yet it's here, I'm gonna call it out for what I see it as it just being very lazy. It is genuinely annoying that this is still present in a majority of R2, and it needs to change. Bad number 4. The past bad things are still present. Bad camera angles, no animation, enemies just deciding to not move or attack, odd quest names, mislook from the writing standpoint not only was apparent in test realm, but is still present in some sort of way in live realm.
You took one from Egg Shen and Mushu. Took one from Egg Shen and Mushu. Not
only that, but then like the interaction you have with Cappy and Sinbad, with Sinbad being like, whoa, who the heck are you? they never met? There's like a scene in Sinbad Part 3 where Bonnie Ann's like, hey, it's all Catbeard's doing, and then he has that little ... Was he not there? Either way, how did they not run into each other at all on the ship, like, you know, during like coffee break or something like that? I think that one's just dumb. Yes, this update is still new by the time I'm playing it and I'm recording this video, and I want to believe that the developers will go back and fix these soon, but some of those bad things I mentioned still haven't been addressed in past updates of Arc 2. So I'm not confident that it will get updated soon. Either it will in a few months or just not at all. And that's all I have to say about the bad. Now let's finally get on to the good. Good number 1. It's better than Crocotopia. Yippee, KingsIsle, congratulations. Good number 2. Queen. Oh my god. She carries this update. Honorable mentions to the new voice actors from Arc 2, as I do think they have some slight improvements to their voice. But honestly, the voice actors for Queen deserve some high praise for the performance she gives here, as whenever she is on the screen, that is when I'm paying attention the most. Queen just slowly throughout the way of progression, losing that facade of regalness and composure until she finally snaps and goes berserk at the end.
Contessa, you wound me. Though considering the company you keep, who are you to question anyone's taste? It is done at last, my beloved. You are avenged. You! How are you still alive? You helped them! Kane's murderers! You traitor! Why? Animals! That's what you are! Vile, disgusting, sweat-stained bags of tripe! Fetid, stinking heaps of flesh! You'll not mount my creator's head on your wall, I swear it! I'll mount your heads in Kane's trophy room instead!
Great. Good number 3. The second half. This is excluding the ending, of course, but not only did I pay attention to when Queen showed up, but the whole time we went from both wings were just nice to go through. And then out of nowhere, Fuel showed up, the doom scrolling was put on pause. Fuel is not a good guy, nor is he really on our side. He just likes us in some sort of weird way. He's doing this just because of how the rest of the court has viewed him as a failed, flawed, and broken one from the bunch. And now Fuel finally has a moment to make Queen feel how he has been viewed throughout his existence. This is just doing it just to spite her, just like some sort of pettiness, and it's great to watch. Good number 4. Ardito is fun. Ardito and the way they went about it is honestly something I like a lot, and what I thought was a successful experimentation. Not only that, but he's actually good to use. Spoilers for what I'll get onto later, but in the West Wing's first fight, I fled because it wasn't going to be a favorable matchup having Chantel. I switched her out for Ardito, which he gets this new epic talent called Gunstinger, aka Relentless but towards range enemies, and it worked. It's nice having this main story companion that you can use in PvE instead of niche situations. Third time's the charm really does work. Please do more experimentations. I liked it. Good number 5. The reuse of assets in plain sight. I didn't realize until watching a video from this channel mentioning it through the run of Test Realm, but they reused areas of Valencia Part 2 and just changed up the art around it. I knew Kane's crypt was a reuse of Marco Polo's tomb, but it works here. I also knew immediately this hallway was a reuse of the hallway in Sevilla, but it was cool to see that they did a good job with the art here to make it look different enough. What I didn't know was that the main area for both wings were reskins of the area in Forlenza with the Otherworld diplomats, Palazzo Atria, and it works real good here. Some of you probably didn't even notice that until watching his or my video, and now you know. When you see these reskins done right, it's a good first baby step into possible other reskins they can do down the line. Maybe that's wishful thinking for a reskin Skyway, but I can dream. And good number 6. And yes, there's actually a 6th one here. And that's picking up the knockdown unicorn all over again. Look at him, go up and down. Okay, actually, good number 6. The difficulty in drops. So I will say the side bosses here can be difficult to deal with solo, with some more than others where you're gonna need a group to fight them. But for the main quest, I feel like the team was able to do something here that they have a hard time attempting to do on the first try. And that's finding a balance with the fights. I don't know if this is because my Buccaneer has much better gear and companions compared to what I first had, but I managed to get through it with medium difficulty, honestly. Because of that, it makes this part of the story feel more bearable to go through than past installments. Not only that, but the drop rates for the gear feel much better. I'm glad that it's not going to be me dedicating a whole day to play this area in hopes to get some good gear, with it only feeling like a couple attempts. This is good replayable gameplay here. I'll more than happy replay both wings just because it's medium difficulty and the drops are good. In conclusion, the update doesn't start on the engaging side of things to get you really hooked in, but once you reach the ballroom and the 2 dungeons, it's a solid experience with some eye-catching moments that sadly finishes off on a less than desirable ending. Ranking the update against anything else that came out from Arc 2, you can even say it's the second best or the best update, with the competition being Tartarus, and there's no other competition other than that really. But how is the update on its own? If I were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, even with the slight annoyances I had, but the fun upsides to it, I'd say 6 out of 10. But that's just the update on its own. Now comes the question I've been wanting to ask. Say you're someone that's in Aggrobah that has yet to go through Volunteer Part 2 or anything in the second arc. Is it worth to go from there to the current endpoint now with this new gameplay and the level cap increase? Remember Luke from earlier? Yeah, this was his job. Seeing as he was the closest to the end between my Witch Doctor and Privateer, he was going to be the guinea pig for this mostly solo experiment. If you do side quests, you can get to level 70 after you beat the Hydra, then 75 when you finish that whole marble quest with Desdemona, meaning I am now max level even before starting Arc 2 in the fight with Cain. So is it worth it? Yeah, sit down, Papa's got some bad news here. All those fights leading up to Cain were fine. The fight with Cain was a different story, and it all started off with Rook and his ability Ricochet. I didn't think of recording this fight because I didn't think it was going to be that difficult, and I was wrong. Why is it with Rook, that's when all my guys want to start chaining? I had attempted this fight solo at least 6 times, and all those times I had to restart. And that was either because I just didn't get a good pull on abilities, none of my guys were hitting or chaining, and Rook would just obliterate me. And most of the time, it was Rook. I tried doing this solo again and again, and the more I failed, the more I got frustrated. I gave up doing that fight solo and just tried desperately to look around for anybody that wants to do the Cain fight right now. And I found one, but he's also a musketeer, which is still going to be a hard time for us to deal with Rook. I was beginning to lose hope until I saw him. I saw that name. Impolite Sean Maxwell. If you haven't heard of who Impolite Sean Maxwell is, then educate yourself. Listen up here. Running into this man in the wild is like finding a shiny Pokemon. And in this case, for what I'm trying to do right now, Jesus Christ himself. Didn't even reach out to him. He was just doing this dungeon just because he's built like that. He's him. Literally saved my mental state here, or at least for now. Either way, the statue's being built. On the bright side, I was able to finally dip my toes into Arc 2. Sinbad Part 1, someone did join me, but that wasn't going to be difficult even if I had soloed it. Though I did decide to finally solo it, and it was fine, honestly. Part 2 was fine also. A few casualties, but that's okay. Then we get to Part 3. My least favorite part of Arc 2. Unfortunately, around this time, I had connection issues a lot. The worst is when it would occur mid-combat and I'd get a warning and be stuck here for a few minutes or the whole time. With almost all the time, I'd leave the fight and do it all over again. It even caused the game to freak out a bit with the Claw dungeon. Says I didn't defeat Claw, left the dungeon, doesn't show a recall button, but says I defeated him. Just moving on, I guess. These connection issues were on my end, and these won't take into account my full experience of the game. It did bother me, but I will push this aside. Now we're at Wheeler's Lair, and just look at this. Defeat these guys, and then no quest arrow, which is very odd as back in November, there was one, and the only time it didn't show a quest arrow was when you head towards the final fight to confront Braun. Fast forward today, and the most of the quest arrows are now like that. Why is it like that now? At the Braun fight, I totally forgot he is pretty much like Rook and did not play my first turn well. So I fled, recalled back to the dungeon, walked back to Braun, and Braun not there. I thought that was odd and fought the enemies that were around him when you first entered. Maybe that would pop the quest, only to find out it only made it worse. After the fight, what would happen is that Braun would spawn here to show he has been shut down. But I didn't fight Braun, and the quest didn't pop. Back out and into the room, same thing. Recall back into the dungeon. Dude, I swear to God, if I have to go through this dungeon again, I'm going to crash out. Royally crash out. Walk back to Braun. I'm gonna go down there, and it's gonna show that I can't fight him. And it's the same thing. I'm soft locked from my current run of this dungeon that I already don't like, and I have to do it all over again. And that doesn't mean I'm soft locked fully from trying to do this dungeon ever. It's just I gotta redo the dungeon, and I don't want to do that. That broke me. After that happened, I just exited out of the game, ranted on a call about it with some friends, and walked away from my desk. Went outside for some fresh air, walked back inside, built a Lego to relax, and laid in my bed till I felt ready to redo that dungeon again. And I did it with no problems. But then I found out some more oddities outside of the dungeon. For example, I walked out of this area to get into this area, walked across to this part, and somehow ended up in the same area. I tried it again and see the quest arrow is pointing backwards, but that doesn't make sense as I just came from that direction. Go across like I did earlier, and it happened again. Third time's a charm, but instead I backed up and realized these doors are logically incorrect. I should be exiting out of this door and entering that door, but now I'm entering and exiting from this door. But I completed part 3 with no other oddities after that, and I logged off for the night. After that, I really contemplated if I wanted to complete the rest of the game or not. Because I was feeling so miserable here with all these bugs and glitches old and new, then did I answer my question? The answer has to be no, if I'm feeling even more miserable than the last 2 times I did it solo, and not even the new level cap and good gear I now possess were making this more smoother and enjoyable for me. So I decided to sleep on it and make a decision in the morning, where I decided to continue onwards. Going through Tartarus, that was fine. Though I don't know why this only happens in Arc 2, where some enemies will either not move or attack. On top of that, Shady Gilly still doesn't spawn in, and you have to walk through that door or switch realms for him to appear. But after that was done, all I could think of now was 4 down, 2 to go. Krokotopia was Krokotopia. I don't know what else I should have expected here. All the way to the pyramid, I had 1 or 2 players with me, and I'm glad I did, because when I entered this dungeon, it's just me and another player. Keep watching, keep watching. Where did this third guy come from? How did we somehow end up in his dungeon run? Fast forward to the Bellatrix dungeon, full squad on the sigil, only to spawn in down 1 guy and no Bellatrix. Re-enter the dungeon, same situation as the previous dungeon, but no Bellatrix still. What we had to do was switch realms, meaning we had to go back to Skull Island, switch realms there because you can't do it in Krokotopia, teleport back to Krokotopia, enter the dungeon again, and there's Bellatrix. It's working now. Kind of. Now, do we have to re-enter the dungeon so that third guy can join us as you're not able to teleport into this dungeon? Nope. He just entered through the sigil like how we did back on the ship. Now I'm in the final dungeon going into the final fight. But as I've seen happen before in just normal runs of this dungeon, you can go around this guy and complete it without having to fight him. Last one, the All-Time Heist update. No problems, as good as it went for my Buccaneer and Swashbuckler. And just like that, the experiment was done. And now having gone through it, I now feel like I can more confidently answer this question. Is it worth getting all the way to that part of the story? And the answer is no, it's not. I was talking to some people about this on a call, and I have to agree with what they had to say here next. If I were to recommend this game to someone, I would. But I'd tell them to get a membership that is the cheapest to get, which should be a month, play through Arc 1 and defeat Cain, then don't bother with Arc 2. If the content from a game is only worth playing an update that's almost a decade old, and everything after that is not worth playing through due to bugs and glitches that haven't been addressed yet, poor story, or embarrassing looking areas to then remember you are paying a monthly subscription for this, then that's a major problem. And then you have the most recent KI Live that happened on August 14th at around the 49-minute mark. Blind Mew discusses their 5-year plan, where you plan out for 1 Skyway with a plan B in case that he cannot get a Skyway. Another team member that is a bit controversial in the eyes of the player base, again, do not harass anybody I talk about here, that person being Andrew, goes on to say that Skyways are very high resources and you have to outweigh if you want more content or do you want to put more time into a Skyway in which the Skyway might not even be that interesting. Blind Me would later say in a Discord message that Andrew wasn't ready for my answer, which honestly it didn't look like anyone in that room was. This honestly harks back to when Fan mentioned the number of developers working on Pirate. It's nice to have a team be transparent with the player base, but not this much because the initial reaction to both of these pieces of info. There's such things as being too transparent. Maybe the team isn't dysfunctional like they say, but what it looks like is that there is a lack of communication between them. This 5-year plan should have been talked about as a team and not on a live stream just because it might have been itching at you to talk about. This type of plan needs to be carefully thought out. I had to go back and record this part as I don't think I really answered this next question, but still don't think I'll be able to here. The biggest question that players and people outside of the game ask is if Pirate 101 is dead. Well, just look looking up from what might be considered as a dead game, then the answer is no. It'll probably be over 2 weeks when this video is uploaded, but the main realm in Pirate has a normal status instead of a perfect one with lots of players in the main hub area. Even with that definition of a dead game, the answer has always been not yet. Somehow Pirate101 has been able to ride this fine line of being dead, but at the same time still being alive enough to consider it not dead. And is that still the answer today, or is it miraculously alive just from this update, or maybe it was the nail in the coffin? To me, the answer is still that first one, being not yet. Even with the continuation in the story and the pros I highlighted from the new update, those cons I feel like are a real eyesore and need addressing as soon as possible. What I'm gonna say here might sound rude as I'm not trying to sugarcoat it here, but again, it needs addressing as soon as possible, and it should be on their top priority following this update and on their 5-year plan. 3 words: fix your shit. Arc 2 desperately needs some polishing with all the mess I pointed out here and at the end, and until that's done, it's not worth playing through. Again, do I recommend this game? Yes, but just play Arc 1 and don't even bother with Arc 2. Also, can I voice one of the characters on the game, please? Hey guys, it's editing me. You can tell it's editing me because, well, it's bright in my room. As you saw at the beginning of this video, audio here is just not being my friend right now. So I decided to record the last 2 parts I have to say here just in better audio condition, hopefully. So yeah, there's 2 more things I want to say before this video ends. One of those being thank yous to a couple people, but first off, I want to just take a page out of the Funny Man's book. Let's talk player base. Even though I played this game since close to the beginning of its release, I've only really got involved with the community since late 2024, early 2025, and there was still so much that I didn't really know about. And ever since I did get myself a little bit more involved with the community, I'm glad I do now. I've seen the good side of this community that are really passionate about this game and just want it to succeed as much as I do. They're really kind, grateful, funny, just everything you could think of. They're that. And then you have the bad side where they feel entitled or superior because they know a thing or two or have more knowledge of the game versus you. There's also people that visibly have main character syndrome and are filled with toxicity because you don't use this type of gear or you don't use this companion because it's the meta. Frankly, if I see someone just use like an odd and bizarre character that puts in work, that's sick. That's fun. But man, I just need to go back to this again. That whole like initial reaction thing to the 5-year plan and everybody's having their initial reaction to those people's initial reaction was just so blown out of proportion. It was just honest to God goofy as hell. This may sound a bit crazy, but watch someone just not want to play the game anymore or just not want to make any more videos around this game anymore. Again, sounds crazy, but watch it happen. Watch it happen. But in general, it really comes down to the language and how those very few come off about it as well. If someone doesn't discuss this in their video or play the game like this and oh, don't forget to do this and that and this and that, and then you make fun of them or oddly enough get pissed off because they didn't do that, you're gonna make people not want to play the game or just make videos on the game either, but mainly not want to play the game anymore. Long story short, Pirate101 has a good community, maybe even a great one, and I've enjoyed my little talks I've had with people in this Discord server or just all around the game. But please, don't be a jerk and push new or less experienced players, like I once was, from this community or game. Now that that's been said, let's get to some thank yous before I get to my closing thoughts. First one right off the bat I have to thank is the artist behind both of these thumbnails that you've seen from this video and the last video, being Bobo. She did a phenomenal job with the first one, and she did even a better job with the second one from my little sketch of something that I'm envisioning, and she was able to do it in such a cake. Not only was it nice seeing people talk about the video, but it was so cool seeing people being like, wow, that's a good thumbnail. That's a nice thumbnail. So if you ever needed an art commission or a thumbnail like I did, definitely hit her up. Her links are in the description below, as most people I will talk about here as well. Next up, big thanks to Chupo actually, as I was one of the lucky few to be a part of the crewmates to go on his journey throughout Pirate101. Really is a certified funny man and just a hardworking guy as well, both with his videos and just school as well. I wish him nothing but the best on his journey there. And it was really cool to just help in some sort of way, whether that be small or big, on his video for when the bizarre lore of Pirate101 drops. Better check it out, or hey, this game might die. Also thanks as well to everyone else that was a part of the crewmates too, as they made this game feel so much better. I said this at the end of the first video, but that was the group that I was playing through with, and wow. I don't really do group play sessions of Pirate101. I'm usually doing it solo. So being able to do this in a group of people just going from the beginning to the end was a nice experience that I much needed. So yeah, special thanks to them, as it gave me another reason why this game has a special place in my heart. Though there's 3 people from that group I want to highlight a bit more, being Cosmonaut, B, and John, as they read through the first script to just see if there's any grammatical issues or just any issues on my information. Speaking of scripts, I also want to thank CB the Scare and Samuelize for looking over this scripts video just to see if there's any, again, grammatical issues or any information issues, but also thank you to inviting me to any of these events or streams as well. And also they helped me get the glowing red eyes. I finally got the glowing red eyes I talked about in the first video. Let's fucking go. I don't know where to put him, and I thought it'd be funny to just still put him in this. Thanks Just Fang for this, yeah, these moments, yeah. And finally, the biggest of thank yous, of course, goes out to you guys for watching these videos, supporting it, giving all the love to this one, the last one, and all the streams. This video performed much better than I thought it ever would, and seeing it still perform well enough is awesome, honestly. If only it was monetized. Thank you, Warner Brothers, for that, by the way. And I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty sick seeing like the YouTube or content creators for Wizard and Pirate also watch this video and comment under it. Even some people from the Atomplex talked about this video too. That was pretty sick. Like, I was just seeing the comments, I was like, oh my god, I watch your video. That's cool. I was like fangirling a bit, so yeah, but it's cool. Also, funny comment award, I thought I'd hand this out. This one right here, 10 out of 10, try and top that. Closing out here, again, thank you so much for all the support on these videos. I'm so proud with how they turn out here, and I can't wait for what's in store in the future. Like, that first Pirate 101 video is in the Mike Hall of Fame. Now, will I ever make another Pirate 101 video? Will you see me talking about this game again? No, not at the moment. I don't see it yet. I don't want to say no forever, just no for now. Unless something huge, breaking news, or just I have that urge to make another video again, then maybe, yeah. You may even see me pop into some streams that I get invited to, as I've appeared in a couple, so be on the lookout for that. But for now, I'm closing the book on Pirate, and I hope you guys stick around for whatever I have in store. And with that, that's the end of me talking about Pirate and the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys did enjoy the series. Let me know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with what I had to say here. Maybe even tell me what you thought of the recent update if you played it. Also, subscribe, as that'll put a smile on my face. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to bed. This video, I'm tired, okay? Yeah. Okay, bye.